everybody, today we're going to be looking at lesson 111. We're combining place values to subtract. In yesterday's lesson, we had actually used this at one point during one of our problems. So this is actually going in deeper to that strategy. So Elena collected 431 bottles for recycling. Pete collected 227 fewer bottles than Elena. How many bottles did Pete collect? So first we're going to estimate. Okay, 400 is close to 431. 227 is close to 200. So our estimate's going to be 200. Now we're going to look at the ones place. Since 7 is greater than 1, okay, we can combine place values. Combining the tens and one places. So if we look here, there are 31 ones and 27 ones. And we're going to write 0 for the 10. So if you think 31 minus 27, that's going to give us the answer of 4. Now we're going to subtract the hundreds. Okay, so 4 minus 2 is 2. So Pete collected 204 bottles. Since 204 is close to the estimate of 200, our answer is reasonable. Okay, now here, we're going to try this problem. 513 minus 482, we're going to estimate and say 510 minus 480, which gives us an answer of 30. So here, since our ones place is not bigger than our 2 is not bigger than the 3, we can go ahead and subtract the ones place. And then we're going to look at our tens place. Since 8 here is greater than 1, we're going to combine the place values. So we can put a 0 in our hundreds place and think 51 minus 48. That'll give us an answer of 3. So 513 minus 482 is 31. Okay, now we're going to combine place values to find 500 minus 173. So they did some of our estimations for us. They want us to do 500 minus 175, which is 325. Now we're going to look at the ones place. Since 3 is greater than 0, and then looking at the tens place, our 7 is greater than 0, we're going to combine the hundreds and tens. So if you look at it as if there's 50 tens, we're going to regroup the 50 and change it to a 49, and then give us 10 ones. So we'll subtract the ones, so 10 minus 3 is 7, and then we're going to subtract the tens. Think 49 minus 17, which is 32. So our answer is 327, which is really close to 325. So now they want us to find 851 minus 448 in 2 different ways. But we can estimate before we do either of those. So 850 minus 450 equals 400. Okay, here we're going to use place value. Okay, just like we did before. So we can't subtract 8 from 1, so we're going to borrow from our tens. Make that an 11. 11 minus 8 is 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. 8 minus 4 is 4. Now, here, if we combine place values, since we can't subtract that, we're going to look at this as 51 minus 48. Well, 51 minus 48 is 3, and we'll put a 0 in our tens place. And then we can do 8 minus 4, which is 4. Both ways work. You get the same answer. So when you're doing your work, we want you to do whatever kind of strategy works for you. We're teaching you this strategy, and we want you to try it to see if it's something you'd like. But when push comes to shove, you're learning all these different strategies so that you can find which way works for you. So when does the combined place value strategy make it easier to find the difference? Explain. Well, it makes it easier at times when you have to borrow. just makes less work for you. Because here, instead of having to borrow multiple times, we just did it in one chunk. Okay. Now, which strategy would you use to find 431 minus 429? I'm sorry, 249, and explain. Well, I always see it better if I write it vertically. Well, here's the thing. I would not use to combine place values for two reasons. Just for me, it would be easier to borrow and borrow, but we could use the combined place value that they use up top. Or instead of looking at this as 431, we could look at this as we have we could have 300s, 12 10s, and 11 1s. 2, 12 minus 4 is 8, and that gives us an answer of 182. So your answer here could change. Which strategy would you use to find? So I personally would just use place value, but if you're comfortable and it's easier for you, you can combine place values here. It's really up to your personal preference. Okay, here they want you to combine place values to find 406 minus 274. Think, subtract the ones, then combine the hundreds and tens places. So I can do 6 minus 4 equals 2. And then if I look at this and do 40 minus 27, that gives me 13. All right, here, first we're going to estimate, and then we're going to find the difference. So I would say this is close to 600 minus 300, which gives me an estimate of 300. And I'm going to combine place values here. 95 minus 86 is 9. 5 minus 2 is 3. 309 is close to our estimate. So here we're pretty close to 725, and we're close to 525, so my estimate would be 200. And here I could do 8 minus 5 is 3, 2 minus 1 is 1, 7 minus 5 is 2. That's super simple. I'm not going to combine place values there because there's no regrouping that needs to happen. So 543 is close to 550. 307 is close to 300. So that leaves me with an estimate of 250. Here, I'm going to combine. 43 minus 7 is 36. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. 236 is close to 250. Here we're going to estimate. Our 600 is already pretty close to 600. And then that's close to 450. So that leaves us an estimate of 150. And here I'm going to do like we did on the last page. Instead of borrowing, 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 we're going to go ahead and say, well, we're just going to shift a bunch of places over. So 600 really is the same thing as having 5 hundreds, 9 tens, and 10 ones. So 10 minus 3 is 7, 9 minus 5 is 4, 5 minus 4 is 1. 147 is very close to 150. So here we're going to do the same thing that we just did up top. It's the exact same directions. Okay, we're going to estimate and then find the difference. So that's close to 450. That's close to 250. So my estimate would be 200. I can do 8 minus 7, which is 1. And then I'm going to combine these. 25 minus 43 is 18. So 181 is very close to 200. Here, I'm going to say this is close to 710. It's close to 680, so my estimate is 30. 6 minus 1 is 5. I'm going to combine these. 70 minus 68 is 2. 25 is close to 30. Here, this is close to 850. This is close to 750. So my estimate would be 100. 9 minus 4 is 5. And then if I combine these, 83 minus 75 is 8. 85 is close to 100. Here I'm going to estimate again. This is close to 900. This is close to 550. Which gives me an estimate of 350. Now, this is one of those situations where I prefer to just use the typical place value. Okay, I'm going to borrow from my neighbor, turn that to a 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. I'm going to go over here, borrow again, and 3. So 358 is very close to 350. A train travels a distance of 872 miles. Then it travels another 342 miles. The train then travels another 403 miles. How many more miles does the train travel on the first part of the trip than on the second and third trips combined? So we have that combined, which tells me I'm going to need to add 342 and 403. So 342 plus 403, 5, 4, 7. So now I'm going to need to subtract 872 minus 745. Now I'm going to combine these two. 72 minus 45, so 45, 55, 65, and 7, so it's 27. 8 minus 7 is 1. So 127 more miles. Denzel wants to subtract 517 minus 183. How can he combine the place values to find the difference? Again, I do better if I see it vertically. Well, in my opinion, the best way to combine the place values is to look at the tens and hundreds together to find the answer. And you know what? They're not even asking you to find the answer. That's all they wanted to know. So, in your answer box, because remember, we've talked about making sure we answer what question they're asking us. So, he can combine the hundreds and tens. All right, down here they want us to estimate and they want us to solve. So 450 minus 350 goes around 100. I'm going to write this vertically. 7 minus 4 is 3. Here I'd have to borrow, so I'm going to combine these. 45 minus 36 is 9. 93 is close to 100. We're reasonable. 650 minus 350 equals approximately 300. I'm going to write this vertically. It's supposed to be a 5, 2, minus 341. I can subtract here. 1, 1, 3. I didn't even have to combine. Look at that. Simple, simple. 700 minus 650 equals 50. So if I do 700 minus 648, and here's where we can do that fancy trick from up top. Cross all that out, make it 1 less. So that would make that a 6. I would make this 10 and 9. And this would turn into a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 4 is 5. 52. Pretty close. So this is close to 950 minus 250 equals 700. If I write this vertically, 963 minus 256. Well, I'm going to look at these. 63 minus 56 is 7. And then 9 minus 2 is 7. 707 is close to 700. All right, use appropriate tools. The table shows the heights of some roller coasters in the United States. How much taller is Kingda Ka than Titan? So I'm going to look over here. Kingda Ka is 456 feet tall, and Titan is 245 feet tall. So we're just going to subtract. So 456 minus 245. 6 minus 5 is 1. 5 minus 4 is 1, and 4 minus 2 is 2. So this one is really straightforward. 211 feet. Jason rode 2 roller coasters with a difference in height of 115 feet. Which roller coasters did Jason ride? Well, I can tell you that we already know that it wasn't the Kingda Ka and the Titan riding together, because that's 211 difference. But this is where estimating can really help us out. So let's look here at the Titan. We could estimate that to be around 250. This is around 450, so that's about 200 of a difference. 305 and 420. Well, I'm looking at these problems and I know, you know what? 20 minus 5 equals 15. So maybe those 2 roller coasters would work. But let me try this out. Let's do 420 minus 305. Well, here I'm going to combine my tens and ones. 20 minus 5 is 15. 4 minus 3 is 1. So that's a difference of 115 feet. So the 2 roller coasters were the Intimidator (305) and the Top Thrill Dragster. Now, what if another roller coaster was 500 feet tall? Which roller coaster would be 195 feet shorter? So again, estimating would be so helpful here. So I'm going to write my estimates over here. I'm going to say this is really close to 250. This is really close to 450. This is close to 300, and this is close to 425. Okay, if one of them was 500 feet tall, and we were to subtract one of these, which would be closer to 200. So 500 minus 250, well, that would be a difference of 250 feet, which is not what we're looking for. 500 minus 450 is only 50 feet difference. But 500 minus 300 is 200 of a difference. But this one is actually 5 more, which would give us that 195 feet difference. So it would be the Intimidator. Okay, Owen solves the problem. He says the difference is 127. Explain the mistake Owen made and what is the correct difference. So I'm going to use place value for this one. I can't do 5 minus 8, so I'm going to borrow, change my 3 to a 2, change my 5 to 15. 15 minus 8 is 7. 2 minus 1 is 1, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So if the actual correct answer is 117, and Owen got 127, what did Owen do to make a mistake with the tens place? Well, it looks like to me if he got a 2, he would have done 3 minus 1. So he forgot to take away a 10 when he gave it to the ones place. So he made a mistake in borrowing. from the tens place. The correct answer is 117. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please let us know.